Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our New Solutions to Elevate Outdoor Spaces webinar. We are excited to have you here today with us. My name is Rachel Gilmore, and I work in marketing here at WAC Group. With me on this call today, we have Todd Goers, who unfortunately, due to technical issues, he's not going to be able to see him today. But Todd is our master of all things landscape. He manages the entire landscape team and really is the heart and soul of this team. We also have Adam Goers on today. Adam manages the Midwest portion of the country for our landscape team. And we also have Chuck Hoovers on, who manages our West Coast portion of the team. So without further ado, we are going to get started. We are excited to have you here. If you guys want to put in your chat where you're from, we'd love to hear from where you're at today. I myself am in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio. Can't get anything better than the weather we're having here. So Adam is going to start our webinar today talking about our new solutions that we have for 2026. Adam?
All right, let's go ahead and get started. I myself am up in Petoskey, Michigan, where it's a nice 25 degrees and snowing. So a little different from some Southerners here. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So the presentation today is broke up into 3 different sections. We have 3 different presenters. First one that I'm taking is Colorscaping. Next, we will have our legacy product line. Chuck Hoover will be discussing some new legacy products. And then lastly, we have a brand new product category that we're very excited to share. So Rachel, if you want to click the next slide, we can go ahead and continue. I see some Midwestern friends in the chat, so that's great to see. All right, so with Colorscaping, you guys know this is a product line that we've been selling for a few years now. It's been very successful. The idea behind all of these new products was based on contractor feedback. So we had a lot of contractors tell us, hey, I love the Colorscaping product line, and I can get about 95% of the way there using only Colorscaping, but I'm missing a few key fixtures. So that's where these come aboard. First one we have is a large underwater light. If you're used to our WAC legacy product line, this is the exact same form factor as our standard white underwater light. So nothing new in the form here, simply added the Colorscaping electronics to it. So this is going to be good for your large waterfalls, large pond applications, situations where you need to blast a lot of light. So you can see the specs, it's about 400 lumens. If you guys have used this product before, you know it is heavy. It is like 5 pounds. So this thing is not going anywhere, very robust, has a 30-foot lead wire to make sure you can safely make that connection outside of the water. Very, very cool fixture, and it will give you some of the most color in the industry for an underwater light. Rachel, if you can click the next slide. Similar, same product family, we have a small underwater light. So this is going to be better for those smaller ponds or applications where maybe you only have a few inches to hide the fixture. This is going to blend into the environment much better. It's about half the size. It's about half the lumen output at 230 lumens. Same deal here. This has a 30-foot lead wire, allowing you to make that connection outside of the water. This is also the same form factor as our current existing white underwater light. So nothing new in the form there. Next slide, please. Another new Colorscaping fixture we're rolling out is a deck light, a surface mountable deck light, I should say. So no junction box needed. This will mount right to your post. And again, nothing too extraordinary with these 3 fixtures. You know, they're not going to be the bread and butter movers, but they are very important in the fact that they give you those niche items and allow you to kind of round out that Colorscaping catalog with the deck lights, with the underwater lights, making this a more comprehensive product line to cover you in every application. And I'll note here, this is offered in bronze, white, black, all on aluminum, as well as bronze on brass. All right, Rachel, next slide. So on the Colorscaping note, we are very excited to launch a new software that we're calling our Colorscaping Configurator. This software has 2 main purposes. First one is to do real-life renderings and mock-ups where you can upload an image of your job and drag and drop fixtures to illuminate a property. The second feature that we'll get into in a few slides is wire size calculation, transformer load, all that mathematical stuff that nobody likes to do. This calculator will do it for you. So this is the portal. You will log in, you'll have a contractor account or a distributor account, and you can list multiple jobs within there. So you see here, Hamilton residence, Smith residence, Hoover residence. You can keep track of all your jobs. It'll show you fixtures. It'll show you VA, total load, wire run sizing. Very cool tool. A quick note on this screen, as you guys can see, add a new project. That's where you would add a new job site. And of course, you can click into any specific existing job site to edit or view some of those details. So if Rachel, if you click the next slide, we'll show you kind of a more in-depth view here. So this is kind of what your main viewpoint is going to look like for the mockups and for the rendering. So you'll upload a front view of the property. As you can see on the left, you have a drop-down list of all of the Colorscaping fixtures. You can drag out those fixtures onto the property and then toggle on and off the beams. So when it comes to control, you can make the beam taller, you can make the beam wider, you can change the color, the saturation, the richness, all that stuff of the beam angle, which is pretty cool. You could show your customer the difference of how your house is going to look, 95% of the year when the system's on white, as well as how it's going to look on Christmas and Halloween, 4th of July, etc. Using this as a sales tool to show them these are the different options. These are all the different scenes you'll get with just one product line. The other thing this could be used for is maybe for your technicians. You could print out this image, give it to your foreman, and say, this is the idea for the job. This is where I want you to install these fixtures. A couple smaller notes on this slide. You can toggle on or off those fixture icons. You can toggle on or off night mode, depending on how bright or dark you want the image to be. And you can change the icon sizes of those fixtures. Next slide, please. So this has been my sales tool as I've been kind of giving this presentation over the past few months. What I would do if I was a contractor is I would take a picture of my homeowner's property and I would mock it up just like this picture on the left and say, this is how a traditional lighting system would look. There's nothing wrong with it. However, when you see what it could look like, Rachel, if you'll hit the next slide, quickly you'll see that that traditional system can look a little bit one-dimensional. And Rachel, hit the next slide one more time, please. Thank you. So what we're doing here is using this colorscaping system to give a fully customized approach. So with a traditional system, you might have 1 Kelvin temperature and 1 brightness across the entire property. With colorscaping, you can fine-tune all those details. So we can look at the house, for example, say this is a really beautiful modern home. We want to highlight that and accentuate it as the focal point of the property. So we're going to make the house really bright and use 6500 because it's a modern white and black house. Now we're going to dim down the patio with some warmer tones to funnel your eye right through the property back to the house, and even turn off the path lights. They're having a fire. They don't need those to provide ambient light. So that's what this tool offers you. It's a sales tool. It's also a tool for your team. So next slide, please. And it's worth noting, colorscaping gives you multiple different scenes. So day one, right out of the gate, your colorscaping job is going to look better than a standard traditional job. But that's just one scene. You can do multiple. In this image on the right, we have inverted that dynamic where now the house is dim and the patio is brighter and warmer, completely flipping the script where now that's a scene where you're comfortable out there, relaxing, warm tones, maybe having a fire and having a party out on the patio. And that's just using white and tunable white with dimming. Moving to colors, you have 4th of July, Easter, Halloween, all those scenes you can show your customer in advance and use this to sell more colorscaping jobs. Next slide, please. And then the other part of this, so that was the design, mock-up rendering side of things. The other part is using this as a tool to size wire runs and calculate load. So that's the front view of the house. The other aspect of this is uploading a top-down image, with a drone, with Google Earth, if you have a CAD document, any of those work. And you can drag and drop those fixtures, measure one length. For instance, if you know the yard, in this example, that 20-foot strip, you enter 20 foot there, and it will size that to scale across the rest of the picture. That way you can drag and drop fixtures, and it will size those wire runs. You can see if you look closely, all those wire runs are blue, meaning that they work. If you added more and more fixtures, very quickly one of those wire runs would turn red, indicating, hey, you have too many fixtures on this wire run. And this uses the same voltage drop calculator that's on our website. So you can simplify all those calculations into one procedure, which is pretty nice. What you see there on the left with that big red rectangle, that's a boundary, meaning we cannot run wire through the patio because we don't have sleeves in there, for instance. So it'll force those wire runs to hook around the boundary into a way that's acceptable for your design. So when it comes to exporting all of this, you'll get a bill of materials with all the fixtures you designed on that project, as well as a nice PDF that you could print out and take to your client as a proposal. And of course, this does your VA, just to recap, your VA, your wire length, load on the transformer, list of all your products. I've seen a couple questions in the chat, but I think that covers most of this Colorscaping configurator. And one more slide, please, Rachel. For anybody curious, this Colorscaping configurator is live right now on our website for the great price of $0.00. So this is a completely free tool available for all of our customers. You can log in today, make an account, and start playing around with it. That was all I had for the Colorscaping side. I saw Brian just put a link into the chat. I will pass this over to Chuck Hoover to talk a little bit about our legacy new offerings.
Chuck, you're muted.
I'm sorry, it disconnected for a moment. Hi, my name is Chuck Hoover, and I'm excited to talk about our Legacy Pathlights and Bollards series that we just launched. Rachel, if you could hit me with the next slide. So if you notice, there's a few things that are different that we've been asked for, and we've really come through on them, is the height of the pathlights. So if you look in the box to the left, in that series, you have a 27-inch height straight across the board. There's also some things we'll go into individually on the fixtures, where these fixtures, I'm excited to say, are CCT selectable. So you can go from 2,700, 3,000, 3,500, 4,000, and 5,000 Kelvin on these fixtures. And then performance is at an all-time high. So what that means is the light output and our CRI indexes are pushing 90. So clear, crisp, clean light for heavy performance. And then in the Bollard light series, you're looking at 22 inches through 26. And we've also added a new finish. So all these are currently available in black, bronze, and then the actual Bollard lights are available now in granite. And when you see the granite fixtures, you're going to be able to see a real rich tone and difference to them. But also you want to pay attention on the next slides that are coming up to how the light actually performs, how it puts the form of light out. And then with that CCT selectable, you're able to really accentuate the property regardless of what it is. And now really regardless of the size it is. Can you go to the next slide? So here on this fixture, if you look, the lumens on this are 305 lumens. And that's a considerable amount of light. And then that top of that head does swivel. And if you look down on the line drawing, that's where you would be selecting your CCT. So 2,700 through 5,000. And then these are all low voltage in these fixtures that are offered. IP66, so you don't have to worry about any type of intrusion. Everything's sealed in our product. And we go for the longest term and actual running longevity of our engines and drivers. So next, and if you look down and to the left, I'd like you to look there. If you see the light patterns, they really thought out how they want that light to disperse. And I won't go through every one, but there's a considerable amount of light that and performance that comes out. Some of them go up to 11 feet right and 11 feet left. So next slide. Can you go to the next slide? And so this is part of that same series, 200 lumen, and then the 5 CCT adjustment, and then the black and bronze availability and the CCT select. And then just always keep in mind when you're looking at these, the actual pattern and the performance of the light. So you're able to select exactly what you need for your project. Okay, next slide to introduce the next path. Now these are pretty impressive. These are a Grand Ledge Bollard light. And the Grand Ledge Bollard lights are available in both 12 volt and 120 volt. And if you look at the lumens, that's 1,780 lumens, and that's correct. And these are also 5 CCT adjustable. And these match up with the ledge light that we've had in our family for a considerable amount of time. It's one of our most popular fixtures. And there's a lot of customers who really requested this and were excited when we brought it out. And now we're proud to be able to present it and ship it to you. You can use it as statement pieces, and then you can reduce down in size around the property, or you can select in on commercial. These will be able to handle those applications as well without flinching. Next slide. Can you go to the next slide? Yep. So this is the Decibel Bollard. Now we've had a customer who asked for this, and our engineering department, I didn't know how they were going to be able to come up with it based on the shape and the size, and alongside with offering a granite finish. And on the last side, you're really going to see how rich the granite finish is in these fixtures that we now offer it in. So bronze, black, and granite. These are standard or more of a legacy adjust. So you would order them in at 2,700 or 3,000 K based on the temperatures that you want on your projects. But if you look at this one, it's 365 lumen. Next one. And this is kind of the bigger brother to the other. You've 345 lumen, just a little bit larger footprint. And then if you look at the light disbursement, you're able to light or enhance everything behind or to the side or the angles that this is showing, as well as forward on the property. The other nice feature with having fixtures this size is you're able to put them off 18 inches, and they can also live in the landscape as well as perform outside of it. This is also available in granite. It's 2,700 or 3,000 K. Next slide. This fixture is impressive because this fixture puts out 510 lumen on a low voltage, 90 CRI, 27 K, 3000 K. And this one's also available in the granite finish. And if you look at that light pattern, it makes a very interesting pattern if you just want things to fall off behind the fixture. Go ahead and next fixture. Now this is kind of one of our most popular fixtures currently in another style, but the size of this fixture has a little bit easier footprint. And this altar is 385 lumen. And then if you look at that pattern, it's almost like a shamrock pattern that it's going to spill out, which really creates like some beautiful shadowing and images. So it creates an interest on the site. You're still at 90 CRI, so crisp, clean light. And then you have the granite finish available, black and bronze. Next slide, Rachel. And the cubicle bollard, this is one where you get like a soft denote down the center. So you get a point of interest there, and then it's almost like a chambered light, but they do let it pass through. It almost seems like the light from an angle until you completely come on it straight forward that it's not going to pass through, but it does. So this series was kind of born of innovation through our division alongside with customer input. So I've been looking forward to these for some time, and I've actually had multiple orders already on these, and they are available to ship. Next slide. And so if you can see how rich those granite finishes are up on the front side, and you can see the performance of those fixtures, they're also dimmable. So if you need to be able to make the adjustments just to soften it up in certain areas or down the line, you're able to dim them. And then that's it for this series. But next up, I'm real excited about this, and Todd's going to go into this because I've had you guys asking me for this over and over and over. So Todd, take it away and make these guys happy.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Chuck and Adam. I appreciate both of you today taking a good chunk of this presentation. Yes, before I get started with the WAC X-Track product, I want to say thank you. We have hundreds of people on this call, including, it looks like 4 of our competitors. So they're looking to find new ways to improve their business too, which is awesome. So sometimes our competitors like to copy what we do. So this will give them some ideas probably. And, you know, years down the road, they'll be able to have a duplicate product of some nature out there. So great. A little kidding there, of course. But yes, so this is a really nice product that I have big hopes for. And I think when you see what we have here in a standard 2-wire product, you're going to be very impressed. Let's go to the next slide, Rachel. What we have here is a 2-wire. This is going to run on 10 gauge, so 10 2-wire, and it is going to hook directly into your transformer. And you can see from the diagram on the left how this is going to work. Up into the track, the wire is going to, we'll have slides upcoming that show this, but the wire is going to fit, compression fit into the track, and then the fixture heads themselves will be placed along the track where you want them, and they'll be movable at the same time. So if you put it in a spot and you say, hey, I wish I would have put it about a foot to the left, you're going to be able to do that. And again, hooking right into a standard low voltage, landscape transformer. Next slide, Rachel. This little video is about 20 seconds long, and it kind of gives you an idea of how this is all going to go together. You're going to mount this track first, and then the wire is going to be compression fit into the track, and then the heads are going to be placed along the track. There's a picture, a snapshot of the wire compressed into the track. We do have in slides upcoming where you're going to be able to see how we're going to hide that wire so you don't see it from down below if you want to hide it. But we're going to let this play out. That head turns on the small riser you have there in a 350-degree nature, so you can really position it very well. It also has beam adjustment from 20 degrees to 70 degrees by that little shroud that's on there sliding back and forth or up and down, if you will. Next slide, please, Rachel. There we go. And here's a great picture of the track, which I'll get to in a second, but this track is going to come in 4-foot or 8-foot lengths. And again, it's 10 gauge wire that we're using. And you can see the little compression fit, or the little pins, I'll call them, on the track head. We're showing you the bottom of the track head there, which is going to be piercing and going through the jacket of the wire to make the connection to the wire. And I tried this yesterday. We had a meeting. I've tried it probably 30, 40 times, and every single time it does work. So we don't have any issues there. Next slide, please, Rachel. Here's some of the components. Obviously, we have track heads. You can see we're going to make these track heads in white, and we're going to make them in black. So you'll have a choice there. The track itself is also going to come in white or black. And as I mentioned earlier, 4-foot or 8-foot lengths. The 10 gauge wire, we will sell it, but you can also find this in the field. We have done extensive testing with 2 brands of wire, both Page and Regency. So if you're familiar with those brands, we know for sure that they will work and fit nicely into the track itself. I'm sure there are other brands alongside those 2 that will also work. We just haven't done testing outside of the 2 brands of Page and Regency. So little plug for those guys here today. But you can see all the other things. We get asked, when we start talking about this, will you have end caps? And yes, we will. And we have track joiner, and we have ways for you to make an L connection. Different things of those are listed along the bottom of the slide here. If you need to make a turn, we have a flex connector that is going to be very nice to, again, hide the wire. So, it's, if you look up from below, you don't see the wire itself. So very nice, nicely done there with the components to put this all together. If we could go to the next slide, Rachel. Here's a sample layout of what this could look like, and you can see how turns are made here with the flex connector. Again, we have a 4-foot section. There's an end cap you can see there on the left side of the screen. We're showing you an example of the connector again down in position D, the L connector, and then and so on and so forth, all the way to the head itself. And I think you're going to really like this product. And this just gives you a little snapshot of what it could look like as a sample. So we'll go to the next slide. So here's a nice photo on the left of the screen here on what this could look like installed. Very neat, very professional looking. You know, today I know a lot of folks are putting, you know, fixtures in corners of pergolas or what have you to try to capture this. This, you know, the light for a seating area below. I love this product. This is really going to do a nice job. I think I mentioned earlier you know, the fixture itself will have that telescoping feature where you can make the beam, you know, a very narrow spot, or you can widen it to have a nice wide 70-degree beam angle coming out of it. This track that we're showing you a little bit here in this photo, you know, again, 4-foot and 8-foot sections, and you're going to be able to get that track in either the black or the white color. Field cuttable in the field, so you can get to the exact dimensions that you're going to need. And yeah, 9 to 15 volt, which is pretty standard for our landscape product. That's the range of these track heads as well. So next slide, Rachel. Here are the X10 outdoor track heads and some specifics on them. We talked about this 20 to 70 degrees. You got the voltage range, so very forgiving. And we'll give you the option of black or white. Just like our other products, you know, we don't have, you know, polarity with the wire where you have to worry about you know, they're polarity agnostic. So you don't have to worry about, you know, piercing a certain way into the wire. It's just going to work. We have a lens holder there that'll hold up to 2 different devices. So this is kind of nice where, you know, if you wanted to use a frosted lens potentially and a hex louver, you could do that. Okay. Next slide, please, Rachel. This has been in development for a while, and I don't know if I said it earlier or not, but to my knowledge, I think this is the only low voltage product that's 2-wire that's out there on the market. When we roll this out, we will be the only ones that have this, which is really cool in low voltage product. You know, electrostatic discharge testing, you know, high voltage shock testing, with temperature testing. You can read through everything on the left just as I can, but we've done some extensive testing with the product to make sure when we bring this out, it is going to function like it should. And if we go to the next slide, Rachel, we have some further photos of, you know, here's a rain room that we are testing the product in and lowering the temperature and raising the temperature and making sure that it can withstand, you know, the brutal elements of really any environment. You can see that we have an IP66 rating on the fixtures themselves. And yeah, we can go to the next slide, Rachel. Here's a little video. This is kind of cool. I want the job of this person here that gets to spray the fixture. You know, this would be a fun thing to be doing. I'd like to actually do this in the office to some, no, I'm kidding. I can't say that. So strike that from the presentation. Here's a, you know, a cold weather testing. Obviously, some of the climates that this is going to go in are going to be getting some snow. Not everybody has the luxury of living in the South and in a southern climate where snow really doesn't exist. So we have tested this product in what we believe to be almost every possible environment that it's going to be put in. So we're excited to bring this to the market, and more to come very soon. We should have it in stock. I learned today in a couple weeks in our California distribution center, and it should be shortly thereafter in stock in the other distribution centers, which we have, you know, across the states in Texas and Georgia and New York. Next slide, Rachel. This is just we just wanted to share this with you because this was asked for by a lot of contractors who use our well lights. It's sort of an interesting product, but it's a glare shield. Obviously, what it's for is for our well lights. You know, we make a standard well light 3-inch, and then we make a grand well light, in-ground light, whatever you want to call it. But we had a lot of folks saying, hey, this thing can be glary. You need something that's going to fix that. and this is what we're bringing to market. And we just wanted to make you aware that this was something that is available. Not a super sexy way to finish maybe, but just wanted to let you know that this was available. And if you need something to protect, to shield the glare, we now have it with these well lights. I believe that is going to wrap it up. But before we leave, I do want to say one thing about our rewards program. We do have a contractor rewards program that is available to everyone that's buying in the green industry channel. It is a fantastic program, free to join. If you are a member, thank you. If you're not, I would encourage you to ask your rep and or distributor on how you can get signed up, and we'd love to have you signed up for that and be able to collect some points and ultimately earn a trip one day and join us so for some fun on a beach somewhere. Okay.
Is there any, if there's, I was gonna say, if
Yeah,
there's any questions, please type them in the chat. I know Brian's been answering as we go, and he also put in the chat as well, how to sign up. And somebody recently asked as well, who is our distributor? So we'll make sure we follow up with you, Justin, on who your distributor is and how you can learn more about that. But is there any other, if there's any other questions, please put them in the chat. Otherwise, thank you, Adam, Chuck, and Todd for all the information and all of our new solutions for landscape today. Anything else you guys want to close with? Todd or Chuck, any final words?
Yes, I just will once again want to reiterate and say thank you to everybody that took the time to spend a little bit of their time, their day today with us. We really appreciate you. I believe it's the biggest webinar that we have ever had. So we set a record today. I think that's wonderful. So thank you for joining us today. Chuck, anything from you?
I just want to say thank you, and I think we're going to have a great year. We got the right customers.
Yes, very nice. And I think Adam had to leave a little bit early because he had an appointment with somebody, but so he's not here to say anything at the end. But we appreciate all of you and look forward to working with you throughout 2026.
And this webinar will be available on YouTube, and we will send the replay out next week, so you can look for it there in your inbox shortly. Thank you, everybody, for attending today. Have a good afternoon.
Okay.